All right, let's talk about something that affects millions of people but is rarely spoken about with this kind of honesty. We're talking about the incredible, crushing pressure of being a sponsored worker. But more importantly, we're going to lay out a real, actionable strategy for survival.
Just let that sink in for a second. This one sentence cuts right through all the noise. It's the absolute truth that separates the experience of a local employee from an immigrant worker. The stakes? They're not even in the same universe.
You know the feeling, right? The work week's finally winding down, you're starting to think about dinner, the weekend. Maybe for the first time in days, you let your guard down, just a little.
And then you see it, that little notification. The subject line is so vague, so innocent, quick sync, but it just ties a knot in your stomach instantly. Your mind just starts racing. Who sent it? Why now?
And there it is, the confirmation. In that single moment, if you're on a work visa, the floor doesn't just fall out from under your career. It falls out from under your entire life. Everything you've built.
So let's be crystal clear about what is actually happening here. This isn't just about losing a job. For sponsored workers, this is about facing a real, existential threat to the life you have painstakingly built.
And this, right here, illustrates the two completely different realities. For a local citizen, a layoff is a professional crisis, a financial crisis. It's awful for sure, but there are safety nets. For a sponsored worker, it's literally an eviction notice from the country. It means losing your home, your kids' school, your friends, your community, everything.
So, how does this eviction notice actually work in practice? Well, it's governed by a single, brutal number that dictates every single move you make from this moment forward.
60 days. That's it. 2 months. In many places, like the US and the UK, that is the entire window you have from your last day of work to either land a new sponsored job or pack your entire life into boxes and leave.
Now just look at this race you're forced to run. In a normal job hunt, any one of these steps could take a month, maybe more. But under the 60-day clock, you have to do the entire sequence: finding the job, interviewing, getting the offer, filing all the complex paperwork, and this is the big one, getting government approval in less time than a normal hiring cycle. I mean, it's almost designed to be impossible.
Oh, but it gets worse. You think, okay, 60 days, I can do this. But that so-called grace period, it's not actually a guarantee. In some countries, immigration authorities can decide to shorten it or even get rid of it completely. The ground you're standing on is never, ever solid.
And this just puts it all into a global perspective, doesn't it? I mean, look at Australia. They've recognized how insane this is and have given people 180 days. But the US and UK systems, they remain incredibly unforgiving. And that's not by accident. It's a feature of the system. It's about control.
All of this intense external pressure, it doesn't just stay outside. It seeps into your bones, it gets into your head, and it creates this powerful psychological trap that fundamentally changes how you act and who you are at work. You've probably heard of a trauma bond in other contexts. Well, this is the visa version. Think about it. Your employer doesn't just control your paycheck. They control your physical right to exist in the country. That creates this deeply unhealthy, deeply powerful dynamic that infects every single professional decision you make.
And this is what happens. This is the shrinking effect. You might have been hired because you were a bold leader, a risk taker who challenged ideas. But under the visa pressure, you become quiet, cautious, you avoid conflict at all costs, you stop playing to win, you start playing just not to lose.
And these are the real career-killing results. You put up with toxic bosses you'd never tolerate otherwise. You work insane hours for free. You don't ask for that raise you know you deserve. You trade your own professional growth for the illusion of stability. You try to become invisible, hoping no one will notice you when it's time to make cuts.
And we have to remember, this trauma doesn't just affect one person. For a spouse on a dependent visa, the helplessness is absolute. Their entire career, their professional identity, can just be wiped out overnight because of a decision made about their partner's job. It is a crushing, unique kind of powerlessness.
Okay, so that's the problem, and it is bleak. But we are not here to just sit in the fear. We are here to build a strategy. Let's call it your layoff protocol, a proactive plan you build before the crisis ever hits. Here are the 4 pillars of that strategy. We're going to break each one down. And I want you to think of this not as being pessimistic, but as smart, professional risk management. It's what any hedge fund would do to protect its assets, and you are your most important asset.
First up, the money. And this is not your typical 6-month emergency fund. No, this is your repatriation liquidity fund. This is cash easily accessible that can cover the massive cost of having to leave a country on short notice. We're talking breaking a lease, last-minute international flights, shipping. Having this money is what gives you the power to make choices, not just react out of desperation.
Next, knowledge. You have to know your own situation better than anyone, especially better than HR, whose loyalty, let's be honest, is to the company. Go straight to the source, the official government websites. And so important, consult your own immigration lawyer, not the one the company uses. Knowledge of your rights is your most powerful weapon.
Okay, this brings us to the last and maybe the most important part of the whole strategy. It's not about money or lawyers. It's a deep internal shift in how you see yourself and your situation.
Just look at this. The old mindset is about hope and dependency. The new one is about power and self-reliance. You're not a guest hoping they'll let you stay. You are a highly skilled professional, a global mercenary, if you will, offering valuable services on a global market. Your real safety doesn't come from your employer. It comes from your skills and your savings.
And this really is the core of it all. Accepting that your situation is temporary until that passport is physically in your hand, that isn't negative thinking. It's liberating. It frees you to be strategic, to negotiate hard, to build your own safety net, and to finally stop living in constant fear of that quick sink invite. It's how you turn trauma into power.
And so we end with this, the most provocative and maybe the most important question from the source material. It's not about tactics anymore. It's about your ultimate goal. Where is home? Where do you plan to build that final chapter? Answering this one deep question, well, it clarifies every other decision you'll ever have to make. It's the North Star that gives all these survival tactics their true meaning.